Huge 62-9 win over Western New Mexico. Your team really just dominated on all sides of the ball, really on top of their game. Just speak on what that win means to you and what it does for this team moving forward.
Well, we needed it, right? We needed to win. We coming off of two tight losses, and we spoke all week about getting back on track. Doing what we do, playing more consistent as a football team on all phases of the game, and I thought during the week of practice we really did a good job of our kids focusing in on that and understanding that the first play is just as important as the last play of a game. So being consistent with it, but there's no doubt our guys played really well. They came out and executed at a high level. There was a lot of energy and excitement out there. It was hot again, but our guys just played really well, and that was exciting to it. They were prepared by the staff and got out there, and you saw that sense of urgency and kind of getting back in the swing of things and having football be fun and understanding the big picture of things. Our kids did a good job, so it definitely helps out. You win a football game, it's always a great thing to do, but it can also lead into things moving forward down the schedule.
Sophomore QB Chad, he got early in on the action, grabbing himself a 1-yard touchdown. Was that just because y'all had already jumped up to that lead, or was there a package specifically planned for him in that moment?
Yeah, there's a package for him. There's also one for Braden too, Fuller. Chad Ferris and Braden Fuller will rotate in on some different things that we do running the football out of quarterback run game, but they both have huge arms too, so they can throw it. So it's not just a run package. There's run pass reads out of those guys, and they just have a special talent with running the football. So proud of those guys getting in there and getting some reps. Gerald did an awesome job as well, running our offense and doing what we do. But we'll have packages for those two guys moving forward every single week, and we have every single week so far. So it just depends how much you use it, and we used it a little bit more this week when we got up to get them guys experience and game reps and all that kind of thing. So it was a good week, but yeah, those guys are special football players.
I know Rido wanted that hurdling, speedy footwork touchdown early on, but that didn't seem to hold him back the rest of the game. He collected over 100 receiving yards, 112 of those in just 5 catches. What does his experience and just his dominance really do and help this team?
He's such a great leader. He's a good football player. He trains so hard in the off season. He just does everything right in that aspect. He's just an absolute competitor on the field. So, it's funny. The first ball we threw it to him was a 5-yard hitch route that he turned into 20 or something like that, and it was probably not what we wanted him to do with the football. We wanted him just to get vertical. He kind of danced around a little bit and made a couple guys miss and got more yards. But he's just a competitor. I thought he was in on that touchdown catch. I thought he was in. I challenged him and got overturned on that, but that's football. At the end of the day, I'm glad he's on our team. He just does a great job, and like I said, he's an awesome leader. He's great in the locker room with our players, a strong voice, and we're lucky to have him.
2 more from me. You had 8 different guys having touchdowns, including Andrew Pitt's 70-yard punt return. Just so many guys able to do so many different things on both sides of the ball. What are you seeing each week that your team is starting to translate onto the field?
Yeah, well, first off, it's getting healthy. Having our guys get healthy. We still got a couple guys we need to get back, but Andrew was electric. He had over 120 return yards in the punt game. He had a second touchdown on a punt return called back on a phantom holding call that was crazy, but at the end of the day, he just brings that aspect to the game. He's very confident back there to catch punts and do what he does, and with the other touchdowns, guys were just comfortable in their game, and they lined up the way we thought they were going to line up on things and didn't switch up a lot of things, and if you do that, you're going to have problems against anybody you face. So that part was good. Our kids executed at a high level in what we thought we were going to see, and it was exciting to get everybody involved.
Now y'all are hitting the road to take on Eastern New Mexico. They're 3-1 overall, splitting conference play. What's the game plan going into this matchup against the Greyhounds, and what do y'all need to look out for?
Well, number one thing is stop the run on defense. That's they're back to triple option. Coach Lee came back, and he does a great job of getting his kids ready to play. When he left, a couple years back to go. Took a high school job for a while. I said to him, I've never seen a team play as hard as their kids play for their coach, and now he's back, and you can see that their kids have played really hard, and he just brings that mentality. So we got to stop the run in the triple option, be prepared. You always hear the assignment sound football, when it comes to option, but there's more to it. You got to play hard and you got to play physical with it as well. So doing that, and then offensively, we got to take advantage and of our series. When we get option or when we get the possession of the football, that's going to be limited times because a running offense like that holds the ball. So when we do get the ball back, each possession is huge in our football game. So making sure we take advantage of that offensively and do what we do and make them defend us as well.
All right, Coach. So I want to know this from a fan perspective.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the triple option, right? So I've always wanted to know, how do you defend that? Because you can't just load the box like you typically would, right? And I know your defensive lineman, you don't want them to rush too far up the field, right?
Yeah.
So for you, if this is showing your hand, I apologize.
It's all right.
Yeah. How do you stop something like that?
You got to be multiple in what you do. Again, you give a coach like Kelly Lee the opportunity to see exactly what you're doing. If you're playing the same thing over and over and over again, he's going to end up finding ways to get you blocked. So switching things up, who's got the dive, who's got the quarterback, who's got the pitch. But they do so much more out of that too. So they do the midline option, they do counter option, they do a bunch of load option, a bunch of different stuff out of it. So just being prepared to it. But it is important in practice to get as many reps as possible against what you're going to see in the blocking schemes again. But end of the day, they're going to change up their blocking schemes with it. So you just got to be in the area of what you're supposed to do and know what your job is and try to get that done. But giving them different looks and being sound in your responsibility is the best way I can probably describe it to be prepared for that. But Coach Clark, like I said, he's always done an awesome job getting guys ready to go with it. I as a defensive coordinator back in my day faced it a lot, both here as well as where I was at before, and so I've seen a lot of it, got a lot of experience with it too. So just understand the different ways of doing it, and I'm excited to see our kids prepare for it this week.
And the term game manager gets thrown around as like a discredit to your quarterback or just quarterbacks in general. But I felt like your quarterback this week really did that. I mean, you guys almost ran for 400 yards. So,
yeah.
But talk to me about his maturity, not only throughout the season, but last week as well, from what you've seen from him.
Well, he just keeps on growing in that part of it. He's been a mature kid. He really has. But at the position and learning how we are running things, how we are doing it, each week he just gets better and better. And he's like I said, from week one, he's a dynamic football player. He has a huge arm. He likes throwing the football. There's no doubt with it. But he was just as excited for anybody, in the run game. Alfred Greer came back and, finally he's feeling good and had 2 long touchdown runs. And I don't know that there's anybody more excited about it than Gerald. And our team was really excited for Alfred. Coming back from an injury last year, he finally had a breakout game this year, and that was something we needed. So, Gerald just does an unbelievable job of, being a leader in the huddle and being a leader on the field and in practice. If you watch the way the kid practices each and every day, it's outstanding. There's great energy with him and how he brings about his practice habits and stuff. So that definitely helps out with the team, and he's getting better and better each week as well.
And this is my last one for you. Talking a little bit about your philosophy offensively. We heard what you said defensively, but offensively, you guys obviously, like I mentioned, almost 400 yards on the ground, 200 through the air. Is that something you're going to try to replicate this next week? Is it really going to be a run-heavy kind of a focus, or is it more so just playing, complementary football? What is it going to be?
Well, it's going to be what they give you. That's something, going into Western New Mexico, we didn't plan to run for 340 yards or whatever it was. It's just, that's how they lined up, and we blocked it and had good plays. We threw for a couple hundred as well and felt like we could have continued to throw the football in it. I think it's so important offensively, outside of the triple option, right? I think you got to be balanced in college football. You really do, because if teams just take one thing away, out of it, in a run game, it's, if I'm a defensive coordinator, they just do one thing, I like my odds, on that part of it. And I think being balanced like we are, both offensively and defensively, run and pass, I should say, through the offense, you got to defend both things, and that's something that makes teams dangerous. Triple option like Eastern runs, that is run pass out. That they got some pass stuff off of it, and all the different options of triple. That's not what I'm talking about in the run game. They're going to run it probably 85% of the time. They're going to run the football. That's different than lining up and running zone or power 100 times. So having that balance that we have and being able to do both makes us dangerous on offense, and it makes defenses prepare for a lot.
All right, Coach, we talked a lot about your offense. Let's talk about your defensive performance on Saturday.
Yeah.
In the first half, they barely even eclipsed 50 yards of total offense. There's a bunch of negatives in that category. A couple takeaways, lots of sacks. The secondary played great. Just talk about your defense's overall performance in such a dominating win.
Yeah, well, I think Western definitely wanted to come out and throw the football. That's what they do. Devin, their quarterback's a good football player, and we made him look vulnerable at times. I think the pass rush, getting to the quarterback, was something that we wanted to take advantage of. We felt like we had a speed advantage there up front in the D-line, and they struggle offensive line-wise blocking us, and that helps out in the back end. They got to get the ball out quicker and do things. But our defensive backs did a good job of having great coverage and being where they're supposed to be, minus about one play on that part. They did a good job of being in vicinity where they're supposed to be and making plays on it. So, the defense just was very well prepared by Coach Clark, and they love playing the game. They love getting out there and going, and the energy was high, and we definitely feed off of that. And I thought special teams too. Obviously Andrew doing what he did with the return game, but Brad Larson, he scored 12 points for us. He kicked all the extra points and had 2 field goals over 40 yards. So just that kind of energy that they brought to the game was huge.
And after a couple of games where the other teams were able to move the ball on y'all through the air, like how encouraging is that to not only you but your secondary that they had a game where they're like we gave up a couple, but for the most part, Western Mexico didn't really have that high of a completion percentage,
Yeah, it's big. We needed a game like this. I felt that we played well. We came out and we did what we were supposed to do on that part, and having a game like that and a defense playing the way they did, and offense playing the way they did, that can springboard you moving forward, and that's something we're hoping it does. And just having confidence in our guys. Defensively all year we've played pretty darn well. Even the 2 losses, I think we held Mines to 320 yards of offense, and even Central Washington had like 260 yards of offense, when they won a football game. So, I think we played well with it, but they bring it each week, and having that, being able to rely on the defense to get the ball back when they do, and play the way they do, and create turnovers is huge for us.
All right, moving into next week, when you're playing a team that runs the triple option, of course, time of possession is always a major factor in these games. That's one thing the triple option wants to do. They want to control that clock. So what is the philosophy on offense this week? How are you going to combat that to make sure that your defense gets a break and can sit down and so they can bring it every play?
Yeah, I think they'll dictate that. I think Eastern will, and what we're going to get in fronts and coverages and all that kind of thing. We're going to play our game, and do what we do, and what we do is take what the people are giving us, and I'm not going to line up and run the ball into an 8 or 9 man defensive front. We're gonna throw the ball if we need to in that part of it. So kind of seeing how they play to it. They've given up a lot of yards in the rushing game right now, but don't be fooled by it. They've given up like 5 really big runs on the year that makes their stats look crazy. Like an 85-yarder, a 90-yarder touchdown runs. Well, then all of a sudden, they got a bunch of -1 to 4-yard gains too. So they're good, but they've given up yards there. So I think the running game will be available to us. But if it's not, and they want to take that away, we can throw it too. And kind of going back before, being able to do both allows us to prepare for what we see.
All right, Coach. Last question here for me. Bunch of backups got some game experience and some playing time this week. How exciting was it to not only get some of the guys from last year back, healthy, like Greer's one of them, but also get to see some of the other guys that don't usually get to get in there, really not only play but excel. Yeah,
it was great. Offensively and defensively and special teams, we rotated a lot of guys. That builds for the future, and it builds for depth this year. And seeing guys, how hard these kids practice, as backups, or on the scout team, how hard our guys practice, and most of the time not getting opportunities to get on the field. It's so exciting to see those guys get out there, compete, and have success doing it. When you put in your 2s and your 3s, sometimes you can take a step back in production on both sides of the ball and special teams, but we didn't. We continued to play pretty good football, and it was really exciting to see that. Just Ronell Young, who's probably a fourth or fifth running back going in there and, having 5 or 6 carries and seeing him, and because I know how hard he practices in practice to get ready to go. Guys like that, Jaden Jones he led us in rushing as a true freshman. He had 113 yards on 9 carries or something like that, or whatever it was. Just seeing the guys excel and getting the opportunities when their numbers called to go out and compete was really fun.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, sir.